What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NASCAR Truck Series race on Draftkings at Talladega. Saturday, we have two races on Saturday. We have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race and the NASCAR Truck Series race. The Xfinity Series video is already out, so go check that out. Got a lot of good content on that one as well. If you're new here, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, turn on the notification bell. Tell me who you think is going to win this race. If there's going to be any upsets. Is one of the big names is going to win? It's just going to be a normal race. Let me know all that stuff in the comments below. If you want to get more of my content, you can always subscribe to the Patreon for only $10 a month. You're going to get articles, cheat sheet with all the projections. You got articles for every race, cheat sheet with all the projections for every single race. All the stats you need to know. You're going to get salary tier rankings, cash scores, all three series combined. It's not just one series for $10 a month, all three for $10 a month, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, I think that's really all I got to say. So let's get into this, where we are going to start with breaking down strategy for Talladega, because Talladega, as most of you probably already know, is a lot different than every other race. But if you don't, I gathered the last two super speedway optimal lineups, because those were really the only two I could find. So 2019 Daytona and or actually that's 2019 Talladega. I wrote Daytona, but it's Talladega, and 2020 Daytona. Those are both super speedways, very similar tracks, over 2 mile tracks with restrictor plates. So if you see, I mean, the first race the salary is $49,800, but the second one, the salary is $41,000. You are not going to need to worry about salary in these races. You don't need to fill it out. You can leave as much salary as you want. I know it feels weird doing it, but it's worth it. And this is going to be a track where it's going to be more about place differential than anything. So I gathered where you had, on average, a driver starting. On average, in the top 12, 1.5 drivers started there. Between 13 and 25, 3 started there. And 26 on back, 1.5 started. So, all right. So this is the strategy you're going to be hearing from people everywhere this week, including me. Stack the back, stack the back, stack the back. Well, the Truck Series is maybe a little bit different than the other series, because the back of the Truck Series is just garbage. Like, it's so bad. There's not good cars back there in the very back. So, as you can see, the 13 to 25, the mid-range is actually where the most drivers in the average lineup came from. So if I'm making just one lineup, I'm probably doing one driver that starts inside that top 12, and I'm going to send it with 3 guys in that 13 to 25 range, and then 1 guy from the 26 and up range. I don't think you want to absolutely stack the back here, and if you're wanting to win a tournament, then yeah, you're going to need a guy in that top 12, because at least one driver is going to be up there, and maybe 2 are going to be up there at the end of the race. So be sure to look out for that. And then the last thing is, if you're playing cash, though, I mean, cash lineups, yeah, you probably don't want anyone inside that top 10 starting lineup. You probably want guys. Usually, super speedway races, especially for the other series, I'd say at least 25th on back. But for here, it's probably just 20th on back. You're going to want to have 6 drivers in there for a cash lineup. But this is more about GVPs than cash. I mean, cash is pretty straightforward on Talladega and Daytona. You just play the guys in the back that have at least some sort of upside and aren't just going to be garbage the whole race. So yeah, I think these guys are all fine for tournaments, though. I definitely want to go 1 to 2 guys in the top 12, probably 3 in the 13 to 25 range, and then 1 to 2 in the 26 range. I mean, I know if you do gosh, I almost screwed up math. We don't want to do that too often. But yeah, I think that's really all I got to say on the strategy. Now we'll go through driver by driver, but I don't think this is a track where it's really more about the picks. It's just more about the strategy and your lineup construction. So I sorted drivers by starting range instead of salary this week. That's what I do for the super speedway races. So for the first 12 drivers, as you saw the tiers on the last page, that's what I'm going to go through here as well. So I'm going to go through the tier drivers. You have the top 12 drivers, starting positions. You have Sheldon Creed, Austin Hill, Zane Smith, Grant Enfinger, Chandler Smith, Christian Eckes, Matt Crafton, Brett Moffitt, Tyler Ingram, Todd Gilliland, Ben Rhodes, and Tanner Gray. So this is going to be a track where, I mean, we know that all these guys can compete for the win. Pretty much every single driver in the top 25 can compete for the win, and then even the guys in the back. I mean, last year Spencer Boyd won this race a year ago, and Boyd's terrible. It's been terrible this year. He's probably gonna be a popular play. We'll get into that. But if we look at Talladega and the super speedways as in general, restrictor plate tracks in general, Austin Hill seems to run pretty well here, having the 3rd best average finish of restrictor plates and the 4th at Talladega. He seemed to have run pretty well here. Tyler Ingram's another guy who's ran well at Talladega, 7th place last year in this race. And he had 5.5 average finish for Stuart Friesen. Oh wait, that's not top 12. So forget that. We'll talk about that in a second. But I mean, for the most part, you're not really just trying to, like, find, oh, this is going to be a driver who's going to be so good at super speedways, because it's pretty much not how it's going to work. I mean, Grant Enfinger, another guy who's done well at the restrictor plates, but more at Daytona and Talladega. We've never seen him really have a ton of success at Talladega, but Daytona has been very good. I wouldn't look too much into that. I think he's good for this track because they're so similar. So, Grant Enfinger, definitely someone that I like. I'm just not going to tell you not to play any of these guys. I think all these guys, if you're making a ton of tournament lineups, play them all. Find ways to skimp them in. If you want to, tighten up your pool a little bit, just fade a few of them. But there's really nothing I can say on, oh, this guy's probably the way to go to fade. If you want to go just based on the luck this year, Chandler Smith wrecks every single race, so maybe that's one to look to fade. But that's really all I'd say. I mean, Christian Eckes' numbers don't look great, but he's raced one race at the Super Speedway in the Truck Series. He crashed out. Same thing with Tanner Gray. Both those guys have bad average finishes, but they've been good all year. They're fast cars. They're in good equipment, so you can't count any of these guys out. So I like playing all these guys. I think all of them have the possibility and the upside to win the race for sure. So up next, we're going to go with Friesen. Stuart Friesen. This is the 13 and 25 range. Stuart Friesen, Johnny Sauter, Rafael Assard, Tate Fogelman, Derek Kraus, Chase Purdy, Austin Wayne Self, Danny Bone, Bailey Curry, Clay Greenfield, Gustine, Spencer Boyd, and Trevor Bayne. So I think these are guys that we can talk a little bit more in depth on. I mean, Friesen, he's got good numbers at all these tracks, so he's a good spot. Johnny Sauter, though, has had a lot of success at the restrictor plate tracks over his entire career. These are obviously stats just from the past 2 years, and he probably should have won last year if it wasn't for that dumb penalty, in my opinion. That should not have been a penalty in the tri-oval at Talladega to win this race. And he's had such a garbage year. I think, just to salvage at least something would be a good win at Talladega. So I'm actually interested in playing Johnny Sauter this week, where I'm never, ever want to go there. But that's definitely some interest I have this week. Rafael Assard, I mean, he's fine. Tate Fogelman, he's going to be fine. Derek Kraus, one race at the restrictor plate, finished 4th, looked good there. So that's a spot maybe to go to. I mean, if that's what you're looking at. Chase Purdy is making his first Super Speedway debut. That's a little bit iffy, but I mean, Derek Kraus did it earlier this year and finished 4th. So, but I mean, he's in that 24 GMS truck, so he's in good equipment. So definitely, he's a fine option. Austin Wayne Self, fine. Danny Bone, I mean, he's never raced in a Super Speedway, at least this. Actually, he might have in the past. I don't know. I don't think he has, but he's fine. I mean, Bailey Curry, he's fine. Actually, Bailey Curry is someone I do want to get some exposure to he's driving for Nice Motorsports this week, so that's someone I like. Clay Greenfield, I'm not going to play Clay Greenfield. I don't think his truck's fast enough to really keep up with the pack. Gus Dean's a newcomer that no one knows that name, so I think he could be someone that's interesting that's not going to be too highly owned in this range. Spencer Boyd, though, is probably going to get a lot of ownership because he won this race a year ago, and he honestly has an average finish of 6th at the Super Speedways. He runs well here. So definitely someone who I believe is going to get a lot of ownership, because most people aren't going to just leave salary on the table. They're going to go stars and scrubs. They're going to build guys at the top, and if they're going to go to one of these super cheap guys, they're going to see, ooh, Spencer Boyd won this race a year ago. Ooh, I'm going to pick him. So that I think someone who's going to get some ownership. And then Trevor Bayne, who, if any of you guys know NASCAR, won the Daytona 500 before. So I mean, he's fine. I mean, I don't want to put too much into that. I mean, I think that's really the only good race he's ever had at a restrictor plate. So yeah, I mean, all those guys are fine. And then the last range is 26 and up, where we have Jordan Anderson, Ray Cicerelli, Natalie Decker, Corbin Forrester, Jason White, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Josh Ramey, Dawson Cram, Cody Rohrbag, Tim Veens, Joe Nemechek, Norm Benning, Robbie Lyons, and Brian Dozit. Jordan Anderson finished 2nd place in Daytona earlier this year, so he knows how to get around these tracks. Definitely someone who I think is worth a shot. He's a guy we pretty much never roster on any other track, but I think this is a fine spot for him. He has a truck who's at least good enough to ride around in the pack and beat. That's what we're looking for. We just don't want to roster any of the trucks that just are going to fall off the pace and not be able to do anything. Ray Cicerelli, that one's a little bit riskier for me. I mean, he was in an optimal lineup. Wow, FanDuel, who's your MVP? I'm not even playing FanDuel on Draftkings. Or FanDuel NFL tonight. Screw the Jets and the Broncos. What a terrible game. Ray Cicerelli, 5,200. I mean, I think he's okay. I just don't know. I mean, we saw him in the optimal lineup, what was it, a week or two ago? Which was shocking. I mean, he had a top 15 run. You don't see that too often from Ray Cicerelli. I think he can hang around. I think that's someone that you could totally get off of. Natalie Decker's in a truck that's capable of running around well. She had a top 10 Daytona earlier this year, so that's one that's fine. Corbin Forrester, he's in a truck also that should be decent enough to ride around a pack. He's fine. Jason White was in an optimal at Daytona earlier this year, so he's got a truck that's decent enough. Jennifer Jo Cobb's not someone I want to play. Her equipment's not good enough to do anything. Josh Ramey's fine. Dawson Graham's fine. Cody Rohrbag, I think he finished like third at Daytona earlier this year. He had a really good run too, like top 5 for him. Maybe it was just top 10. He ran really well, so he knows how to get around here. Tim Veens, though, I'm not going to play. His equipment isn't good enough. Joe Nemechek's in his number 8 Nemco truck. That one's fine. Norm Benning, honestly, at 7,000, starting at 37, I think he's okay. I don't really want to play him because it's Norm Benning. But, he could hang around. If he doesn't get in an accident, he's going to be fine. Robbie Lyons is probably going to be popular, starting 38th. 10th place finish in this race a year ago. He's in equipment enough that'll do the job for it. And then Brian Dozit's truck isn't good enough. So, you just got to pay attention to the guys down here. I think like I say, for the most part, every single driver is rosterable in this race, but you still have to make sure. I think race is really thin. I wouldn't roster Jennifer Joe Cobb. I wouldn't roster Tim Veens. I really don't want to roster Norm Benning, and I wouldn't roster Brian Dozit at all. So, and honestly, Josh Ramey's pushing it a little bit too. Someone I don't really want to get to. So, but definitely I like Natalie Decker down here. I definitely like Forrester. I think White's fine. I definitely like Rohrbag. I definitely like Nemechek. I definitely like Lyons. You just gotta, when you're down here in this range, you just gotta find the guys that you think actually have equipment good enough to get you to ride around and at least just hang out. You just don't want guys who are gonna fall laps down. In the Cup Series, off the video I'll talk about in the video tomorrow, there's 8 guys starting to guard in the very, very back, but they're not rosterable. You don't want to roster Joey Gase. You don't want to roster Garrett Smithley. There's just guys you don't want to roster. So yeah, but I think these are the guys that I think are fine for that race. Really, for the Truck Series, the most important part is the strategy. If we want to go back over there one more time, I will. Just knowing where you want to get drivers to start from the GVPs, just don't stack to back if you're playing a tournament. Don't do that. If you're playing cash, just stack to back. If you're playing a cash lineup tomorrow, or Saturday, only play guys from here on down. Just play Trevor Bayne, Jordan Anderson, Cody Rohrbag, Lyons. Just play those guys. You don't need any of these guys up here because they're all going to wreck out because it's freaking Talladega. If you're playing tournaments, though, I probably at least want 1 or 2 of these guys up here. Not a lot of people are going to do that. And then 2 or 3 guys in here, 1 or 2 back here, something like that. Just because so many people are just going to stack to back because that's what people do at Daytona and Talladega. And yeah, that lineup would probably cash you in a tournament. But if you want to come in first place, that lineup ain't going to do shit. So I definitely think that's a spot. I think that's definitely a way to look at things. Really looking forward to this race. It's going to be actually a really great weekend of sports. When we have college football Saturday, the Xfinity and Truck Series at Talladega, Sunday NFL. Then we have Talladega Cup Series race on Sunday. NBA Finals are on Sunday. Sunday Night Football, of course. So a really, really great weekend of sports coming up. I'm really looking forward to that. But hope you guys got some good info from this video. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Watch some NASCAR. Be sure to check out the Xfinity Series video. If you're watching this on Thursday, the Cup Series video is coming out tomorrow. If you're watching this any other day, Cup Series video is already out. So be sure to go check that out as well. If you want to watch some of my NFL video that's coming out tomorrow or on Friday as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking this out, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.